We got a really cool episode this week. If you've not been living under a rock for the past probably a couple of months, you would have heard of these two, or you would have at least heard of Paste because it's all over social media. I just want to give the audience an intro into sort of how this came to be because I had a bit of a emergency procedure that I needed to have done and a last minute filling. And I live downtown Toronto and Paste is obviously downtown Toronto. And it was on my way back. It's literally down the street from my condo, and it's on the way back from my walk to school. So every day I would see like a new part of this dental office, sort of come to life. And from the outside, Paste is very, it's very unassuming. Like you can't really tell what's back there. So I remember I walked in, my girlfriend said, "Hey, just go to, this dental office down the street. They have a really cool website. The
Right.
dentist is really highly rated. You should just go." So I remember I walked in and immediately I was the place smells like a hotel. It smells phenomenal. And the rest of the setup, I was just blown away. Like I think before I had gotten to see, Derek, Dustin, you and I had just been talking for like 30 minutes just about like the wood that was used on the wall and like the floor, how it like resembled this like unique, European sort of like vibe. And then, I went to
Mhm.
go see Derek and, that was an incredible experience. So just like A to Z, it was just, beyond my wildest expectations of what a dental office needs to be. So, I mean, I think that's enough of an intro for me, but I want to hear from you guys. Like maybe just take a minute or two and explain and just introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, thanks for having me. So I'm Derek. I've been a dentist, general dentist in downtown Toronto for 6 years now. And we recently opened Pace this past November. And this is kind of my years of gathered insights of things that I would kind of keep in my back pocket being an associate downtown Toronto. I would see that people were like really busy all the time, and going to the dentist was kind of just the last thing that people wanted to do. So I would be scratching my head and I would say, if this is a place that people wanted to be at, what can we be doing as the dental people that are banging over people's heads all the time that we want to see them every 4, 3, 6, whatever months? What are we doing to foster a better relationship so that people want to go to the dentist, not just because we're calling them all the time, reminding them that they're due for their appointments? What are we doing to kind of foster a better relationship where they're proud to be here, they're looking forward to being here? And then the other thing that I wanted to do in creating like a space that was a little bit more elevated and more reflective of me was that I wanted a place that was high design that kind of melded my two passions together. So that was the intersection for me, was my passion for dentistry with my passion for interiors and hospitality oriented experiences. So that's kind of how this pace thing came to be.
I find it
Hey, I'm Dustin. Oh,
absolutely
sorry.
amazing. Like sorry, Dustin, I cut you off there, buddy.
No, 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 no. Go ahead.
I I go to your website. I didn't even know dental offices can look this great, and I have to give you full credit. So there's Dustin and Derek here. Like, which one of you two is the genius behind this operation?
I'll take full credit. That's me.
So it's Dustin. I got you.
No, it's me. It's me.
I know.
No, so Derek has beautiful taste, and he's obviously been a dentist for a long time. Dustin, by the way, for those that didn't catch that, but something that we've always shared in common to outside of work life is like we love beautiful things, we love design, we're big into fashion, and that's the world that I come from, the fashion industry, customer service, retail, all of that. And so as he began to share this kind of dream of opening Haste, we're like, where can I fit in with helping this vision come to life as well, and just like helping extend his dream and vision into the guest experience. And so that's something where I have a lot more experiences. It's just like, because I'm not from the dental world at all. So we wanted to give something that's different than what the dental world typically might offer at an office. And so just like that moment someone walks in the door, how they're greeted, how they're told about like the story behind Pace, that's what really makes them feel included in the process. So just like telling them like how the design process, like where Derek got some of his inspiration, how we bounced off each other, how we wanted to make things a little personal. So like I explained to Akil when he was in, some like the yellow mustard velvet that's in our lobby is something that we actually have in our own home as well. So it's just like adding a little bit of our personal touch without being so obvious, and just
You,
things like that.
Dustin, I have to say, I think it's great that you're not from dental, because I think the best people in dental
Exactly.
are not from dental.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
no
that's
matter,
what was so important to me, is that we needed to modernize this. And thank you guys, for being kind of part of this movement in modernizing dentistry, creating a podcast and doing things a little more current and making things a little more fresh, because dentistry sometimes can be a little bit too rigid, and we just got to bring everything to kind of like a 2022 kind of modern setting. And that's kind of what my goal was, and you guys are doing that too, so it's like a collab. We're in this movement together, right?
Akil, if we can collab with these guys, I think we're moving up in the world here.
I think the best thing we've done so far is just made these hoodies. Like,
Yeah,
we've
man.
done nothing.
These guys are building the world's most
having the
beautiful
podcast in
office.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was
know?
going to say is, Dustin, when you're not part of dentistry, you said you're from the customer service background, but I'm sure you understand now, dentistry is not about working on teeth. Dentistry is 100% customer service profession. And if you confuse that you are drilling teeth and working on people's teeth, you're in the wrong business, because it is 100% customer service. And that's what I've learned over the past 14 years anyway, is you got to cater to that person. Do you find similarities between working in dentistry and working in retail or fashion?
Completely. So a lot of my time is spent like speaking with our guests as they arrive. It's important to me to kind of explain what our thought process and paste is, and kind of get to know each one of them and little details and stuff like that. Um, and that is the same thing as when I worked in the fashion industry, when I worked in sales and stuff. It was just getting to know each of my clients or the people you interact with. And that allows you to continue to build those relationships, because a lot of people don't love coming to the dentist. They don't have insurance. It's like not part of their routine normally. So something they kind of like force themselves to go into if they need something done. But when they have those relationships built through customer service, it makes them feel a little bit safer and more trustworthy of like what Dr. Chung is sharing with them, or what like our hygienists are suggesting for them. They're like, okay, they're not just trying to like sell me on something, but they are really wanting to like take care of us.
Dentists are hilarious because they're like jack of all trades, right? I'm
Master of
the
none.
dentist. Yeah, exactly. I'm the dentist. I'm the marketer. So I drove by a dental office with literally the worst name. It was called DDS. And you know why it was called DDS? Because it was on Dufferin Danforth Street. It was like the
Yeah.
intersection between two
Yeah.
streets. And I'm like, you think like the general public is gonna know like the pun there? It's like you're only appealing to other dentists. So it's like it's great that you guys
Yeah.
went down
Yeah.
the like route of like Apple, which is like simplicity, appeal to
Yeah.
your actual like patients.
Yeah.
I think that's really sweet. That's really, really cool.
I find a lot of the dental marketing that I see sometimes is a little too much on the nose. It's a little too I'm a dentist. I'm in Toronto dentist. Like it's just too literal.
Yeah.
It's not cheeky, it's not sexy, and that's kind of the direction I want. We want to always just be a little sexier. We want to be a little bit more modern. So
You dress for the
you'll
part.
kind of see that throughout.
Yeah.
He does.
So tell us about, because your space is just so sick. Like I can't get over how nice it is, because I'm a big, I you can't see the condo behind me, but like I'm a big lover of like interior design. My mom, she's not an interior designer, but that's like her passion, and I just like took after that. Definitely not the hockey bro vibe, but I mean, hey, that's me. But talk to us about like the construction process, how you acquired the materials, how you like saw this vision in your head and actually made it a reality.
So for me, when I experience a space, or when I walk into a hotel or a restaurant, I always am drawn to the spaces that give me like an emotional impact. So that was really important when I was working with the designers, is that I wanted when someone walked in, that they were kind of moved in a certain way, or that they were kind of like taken into like a different mind frame. So that's really important to me. So we intentionally would design the space in a way where we kind of cut off the rest of the city. So we intentionally enclose the space. We covered the windows, which for some people that would be crazy, but we
So
intentionally built
everyone's looking for
walls in front of our
windows. Yeah.
windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then so it disconnects you from kind of that busy King West, downtown Toronto environment. And then we just try to account for all of the different senses. So the way that materials felt, the way that materials looked, we wanted a lot of softness. We wanted a lot of more like rich textures, because we wanted to kind of drown out maybe the kind of anxious feelings that people might have when they walked in. So we obviously wanted the space to be relaxing. I personally like things to be a little bit darker and a little bit moodier. I think it kind of sets a tone. So we just kind of took that and ran with it. I love green, so you'll see green marble everywhere. We obviously use a really dark green everywhere. And a lot of it is like my personal kind of reflective taste. I wanted people to kind of see into my soul a little bit. A lot of the fabrics and the colors we have in our own home. So I wanted a little bit more of a personal connection on that level too. People could kind of see what I'm drawn to.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. Like, oh, go ahead, Dustin.
Right. Well, something too that I've noticed more now since working here and stuff, that like so many people that have anxiety when they come to the dentist, it's because of certain sounds or smells that they have. But if they were in any other setting in life, those things they would not even notice. But when they're sitting in a plastic chair in a white sterile waiting room, suddenly those things are heightened and they're like, what's going on back there? It feels very medical. And so they have so much anxiety before they even get in. And that just continues to like escalate. People have had these like traumatic experiences, which in reality probably weren't that traumatic, but because they've been kind of anxious from these things that they don't understand. So that's where our design plays a huge part in it, because suddenly there's no clinical smell when you walk in. It's this beautiful custom smell we have. The colors are warm and calming. There's beautiful interior design all throughout, like great marbles. We have candles, things like that. So it already reduces their anxiety and stress before they even get back into the chair. By the time they're there, they're already having like a greater experience, that the things that happen next aren't so scary anymore, and their anxiety isn't overriding like what Dr. Chung is explaining to them, and they can kind of feel more part of the process without even really realizing what that difference was in their experience. It's all about the environment.
Yeah, and I think when we were designing it, a lot of it was kind of not thinking about what a dental office normally has, thinking about what the design of a hotel would maybe
Yeah.
be.
You can totally tell
So
that
that
too.
was really important. Yeah. So it was hospitality forward, because you said yourself that dentistry is like a people thing. It's a people managing people, and it's a customer service oriented business. So we were trying to see it more like that, as hospitality driven. So, and then we also try to think of kind of the negative emotional credits that people might feel when they're at a dentist. So we try to use as few corners, like sharp corners, as much as possible, to kind of get that connotation of something sharp or intimidating out of people's minds. So you'll see all of our edges are rounded off, lots of circles. You won't see a sharp corner anywhere in our lobby. So
Wow,
and
so
then
cool.
in the treatment rooms, we have these sliding doors. I don't know if have you had a chance to maybe take a look at some of our photos at all?
Yeah, I looked
Yeah, yeah.
on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in our treatment rooms, basically when someone walks in, we have these sliding doors to cover the cabinets and to cover all the dental stuff. So when you walk in, it looks like a piece of furniture. And then when they're turned the other way, they're in the chair, we open it up, and then the dental stuff is in there, all prepared already, so that they're not seeing like the needles and whatever, the sutures and so on and so forth. It's all covered when they walk in.
So cool.
That was big.
So, like, I
Yeah.
mean, Dustin, I think when I remember walking into Paste, and I probably bothered you far more than your average
No,
client, because I was like asking a million questions. But I think that's before I told you I was in dental school. I'm like, oh, where'd you get that from? Like, it was like
yeah.
a kid in a candy shop. But and like to your point, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
walk off King Street, and King Street doesn't smell very pleasant. Nike, it's like you've been to Toronto.
I've been to Toronto once or twice.
King,
Yeah.
King West. It's like it just smells like beer on the street. So it's like you walk in off King West, and you like come into this like beautiful, Tom Ford smelling, perfume or cologne, and it's like it's magical. I wonder, like, when you get new patients walking into the door, are their reactions as almost like shocking as mine? Are they also, that same, oh my gosh, like where am I?
Absolutely. People come in and the first thing they do, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it smells so good in here," just like you did. Or we've had a few people that walk in and they kind of stop and they're like, "Oh, I think I'm in the wrong place. Like, I'm going to like the dentist." But yeah, this is the dental office. They're just kind of like, it's not what they're envisioning. It's maybe someone that just like found the number online and didn't really look into what the design is. They just think they're going to the dentist. So it's funny to see those reactions, and then as we get to explain more about our design process and how it was designed with them in mind, they kind of start thinking like, wow, this is so cool. Like, you mean like there was nothing stopping anyone from like making these changes before? They're kind of like dumbfounded because we've just always been like used to it our whole lives. Anytime I've gone to the dentist, the doctor, anything, it's similar waiting rooms. It's just kind of like status quo. It's like plastic chairs, white sterile waiting room. These days, you'll see a few more offices being updated, but it's still very like white and sleek. So it still kind of reads a little bit medical for people. So they're just very shocked by that, and they're like, "Wow, this is just something I never imagined that like a medical setting could look or feel like."
So this whole conversation, what's going on in my head, being a dentist, being a clinician, I have my practice as well. I just built, an extra 3 ops and made a separate part of my office, not nearly like 1% as fancy as yours. I was just having fun with it. And then I see yours and I'm like, it is absolutely gorgeous. But at the end of the day, we all have bills to pay. We all have loans to pay. What would you tell the dentist about making such an investment into their clinic without actually going into the clinic materials? Like, we're not even talking about dental chairs and the exorbitant prices of that. We're talking about the decor. What made you feel like it was okay to do that? Or what's like, do you know what I'm getting at here? Like,
Mm.
how do you justify that?
I just didn't see it any other way.
I love it.
I wanted it to be reflective of me, and
Yeah.
I wanted it to be for me to walk into my office and be in love and enjoy my day. So I just didn't see it any other way. I mean, I've had friends, colleagues tell me otherwise, that maybe it's not the best for their decision, but I just never saw it. This was my vision. I've been dreaming and envisioning and get like thinking about a place like this for over 10 years, and it just wasn't really on my radar to do it in a different way.
Yeah. And
So I was following my passion.
don't get me wrong, I totally agree with that,
Yeah,
because that's how I built my office too,
yeah,
is I wanted it to be a reflection of me. And
yeah.
and you fellas obviously have a million times more style than I do. And I'm still, like I was telling you before, I'm still stuck in a 13-year-old mindset. And I listen
You
to,
have pretty cool glasses though, so
oh,
you
thank you.
don't say that. Don't sell yourself short.
But like, man, at work, I'm listening to Drake, and I'm having fun. And when people say like, Neki, was it worth building this extra part of your office, just like you guys did? I say 110% yes. I would have paid triple for what I paid, because when I come to work every day, it's an investment in me. I didn't make it for my patients. I made it that when I come to work, I'm my best self. I feel like there's a vibe around me, and I'm going to be able to deliver what kind of dentistry I want to give. And I totally see that in you. And the
Mhm.
second I saw that website, I was like, these fellas, we have the exact same mindset. Because
Right.
correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't build this for patients, you built it for you.
I think it's a combination. I think because I think that when our patients see the level of detail that we put into their experience,
Yeah.
um, I I want them to understand that that is what we're trying to do is we're trying to say that every aspect of their dental experience, including the dentistry, which is the most important part, is
Yeah.
just as detailed. I spent so much time like reading articles about bond strength or brittleness of composite, whatever. But what they are drawn to or what they respond to, they may not understand or know that I'm like a dental nerd. So I
Yeah.
do want them to know that I do take that time and care, and really meticulously try to think about every little detail that goes for their customer experience, but also with the dental work that I offer. So I wanted that to be reflected, and I wanted that to be conveyed somehow.
One of my favorite quotes from Joe Biden. Surprising, he actually said a full quote without
What?
stuttering. He goes, at his inauguration, he's like, "How you do anything is how you do everything." Right. So it's like I feel like it's a similar sort of vibe there. Someone comes in and sees, you know, Dustin was telling me that you guys have a director of flowers or something, like a floral director. You know, if
We
they
do.
say if you have a floral director, the exact same amount of care is being put into the patient care and the patient experience.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's part of the thing with the design. Obviously, yes, a lot of the design choices were maybe made for like Derek and things that we enjoy in terms of like colors and fabrics and things like that. But we really did take all of the patients into consideration while doing that, because something that's important to both of us is just changing the mindset behind how people look at dentistry, because for us it truly is the like greatest form of self-care. People go and get their hair done for self-care, a massage, their nails and things like that, but really like your oral health is so important. And I'm from like a social media world and things like that, and so now as well people are paying more attention to their smiles. They're on camera a lot more. There's way more photos. You've never seen more adults in your life that are investing in Invisalign or veneers or bonding, things like that, because they're caring more about it. And so we wanted the experience in the environment to also reflect that. So instead of just like going to the dentist because, oh, it's next on for my next cleaning, or, oh, I have a cavity that I've been putting off forever. It's like, oh, I want this to be part of my routine. I'm coming for my cleanings. Like, it's a great experience. It's something that you're choosing to do, and they're making that effort to come in. And we think we want like all the environment and their experience to be reflected in that.
I just I love the patient experience part of it all, because I feel like, that is missing from dentistry today. What would you tell a dentist that wants to go down the same path you did and make their absolute dream practice? And they're gonna have to tell that to the bank, and they're saying, I want to make my dream practice. It's gonna cost this amount of money, and then the bank has to say you're spending this amount of cash on your practice. Is it feasible? And how did you approach the financing companies? I'm just assuming that you did. Sorry if I'm incorrect, but how did you get them to buy into your vision?
I think in my meetings with them, they saw the level of passion that I had and how much I
Yeah.
believed in it. And they thought it was really cool. Genuinely, they would literally just be like, "Wow, this is really cool." And those were the conversations that I had with them. And when I would show them my renderings, maybe some of the branding ideas that I had, they just thought that they hadn't seen something like it before.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really the hardest part of the process, to be honest. I was lucky enough where the bank was able to support me in the same way that I was hoping them to, and that wasn't really the hardest thing. So that wasn't a hurdle.
What was
They
the
saw
what
my
was the
passion.
hardest thing, man? What was the hurdle? If you had to say just
The build
one word,
out, the
the
build
build,
out,
yeah.
dealing with contractors.
Yeah. Did
Yeah,
they
that was
buy
hard.
into your vision?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to add on to the hardest part of the contractor, so Akil mentioned the tile flooring we have in the front, which was actually inspired from this very famous park in Albania called
Right.
Skanderberg Square. Theirs has 30 different stones, which represents the richness of Albania. And we thought that was very beautiful. And we did a 8 tile version over here. But to go back to that part is
What?
we were so delayed. The contractors were so behind that Derek actually dry laid every single one of those stones himself. Never has done anything like this in his life. But after working a 12-hour day as an associate, came here mapping out on a piece of paper, trying to figure out how these stones, and laid all of them all through our lobby and hallway. So when people say like blood, sweat, and tears went into this, like he literally put his blood, sweat, and tears into
Wow.
making
That's
sure this
amazing.
process was sped up. We were not delayed, and that everything was perfect.
Labor of love for sure. Labor of love. Our
Offer
lobby has
tiles.
8 different marble tiles in it. And then
Really?
so yeah, so the Tylers had a good time with that. And then so I was here with the Tylers, and I would lay every single tile and be like, no, too much green there. And then I would move one. And then I it's like Tetris. I dry laid every single one myself. So it's a labor of love. And when you walk in here, you kind of it's your baby. And so that
Yeah.
level of ownership that you have, and that level of passion you have in every step that you take, every patient that you see, it's conveyed. And I think patients are drawn to that, and they see the passion that I have.
100%. So like as dentists, right? Like one, as dentists, we're not trained to be business people at all, but we're especially not trained to convey our ideas and dreams to, you know, financiers, right? Like that's not a skill that we're taught. It's not a skill not a lot of us have. What did you say to these, you know, people that were going to write you this fat check? Like what was your pitch? Was it, I want to change the face of dentistry? Tell us what you told them.
It was that I wanted to kind of create a more hospitality-oriented dental experience that was maybe reflective of like a young, like an urban demographic. I had found the right location that I think would do well, and I think that they saw that an idea like this in a location like King West would it makes sense business wise. Um, and I just gave my thoughts. We gave them projections, and then I gave them my numbers as an associate. Like I did well as an associate, and I really I don't think that there was something that I said to these people, like in terms of verbiage, that really made them say yes. I think it was just the kind of emotion that came with it. They saw that I'd really thought about this, and they saw the passion that I had when I was talking to them. I don't think it was like a particular word. I don't have a formula for it, but I think it was just the emotions that came with it.
Derek, does the atmosphere that you've created, does it almost reflect the type of dentistry that you end up doing? Like just looking at your practice, it doesn't, like, to me, it seems like it would be like a higher end aesthetic cosmetic practice. You're not going in there and popping out 4 or third molars.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, have you
Yeah.
noticed that your atmosphere has attracted a certain type of persona patient?
I think that me just personally, I'm actually more drawn to like the cosmetic aspects of dentistry anyway. So I
Yeah.
think that my practice in general leans towards that. Um, but we make it very clear in our branding and like our interactions with social media and our patients that we are a general dental office and we don't charge above fee guide, which is one of the legs of kind of what our brand is about, is that we don't think that having a hospitality oriented positive experience at the dentist should cost more money. So that was one of the
Interesting.
things that was part of our business plan, is that this should be or should be available to uh, everyone, and that people maybe shouldn't need to pay more to have a good experience or an elevated experience at the dentist.
People always refer to us as kind of like a luxury dental office. And for us, the luxury is the experience, it's not the price point. And that's what we always try to convey to everybody that comes in. And obviously, we know that like not everyone that is going to be making changes to dentistry is going to have velvet walls and marble tile throughout. But it was really important for us to kind of change the standard of just what everyday dentistry looks like. And so that's why we do market it to everyone. We want anyone down the street, like you don't have to be fancy, you don't have to be looking to do like a full mouth of veneers. If you need something in, you should still be able to have a great experience without having to expect to pay all this extra money or bells and whistles to come along with it. We just think that should be kind of a given, and we obviously made our standard like quite high to reflect that. But it, again, how you said your environment makes you happier. When we're in this environment, it like makes it easier for us to give like great experiences to just each one of our guests that comes in.
It's really cool because you've landed in a profession that is very conservative, right? And you're taking your own, take on it. You're taking your own take on what a dental office is and what experiencing a dentist really means and what it can mean. What are, without doxing anyone, what are other dentists saying about your take on your practice?
Bravery.
Why? Like, what's the rationale? Why is it brave?
I think that that's a good question. I'm not sure because I don't really, it doesn't really permeate. Like if someone has something maybe less than stellar to say, it doesn't really penetrate that deep. So I don't really think about it.
I
Yeah.
love it, man. I love it.
Well, I think for a lot of other dentists that have seen what he's doing, they're like, oh, you could have just opened something very straightforward and you'd still have had lots of people walk in the door. So they don't really see it as a necessity to do all the extras because you'd still have business regardless. So I think that's where the bravery comes in. It's like, oh, you did something that wasn't necessary, but I think that's the cool part. It wasn't necessary to do all these things, but he created this to make something new and to raise that standard. So I think that's where the bravery comes in because he easily could have just opened up like a whole like 4 white walls, a dental chair, and people still would have showed up in some capacity. But the fact that he wanted to do something so different that technically wasn't necessary, but has now created this really cool buzz and opened eyes for a lot of people because people are coming in, oh, they want to see what we're doing that's different, or like, how can I incorporate bits and pieces of this, which they probably never thought of it before. But I guess that's also part of where we're trying to raise that standard is now people are seeing maybe I need to do something a little better. And that's what we want to do, not just for our guests, but just dentistry in general, is change the face of that.
Absolutely. And that goes back to what I was telling you before, like Derek, that's why I truly feel like exactly what you just said. You don't care what other people are saying. You did it for you. And that's why I respect you so much. Like I have
You feel the same way about your practice, right?
no doubt. Like we have different visions
Yeah.
of who we are. Like we're obviously different people, but I 100% resonate with what you're saying. I don't give a shit what anyone else says. If I want to listen to Drake and he's blaring swear words the whole time, I don't give a shit. I'm my best taking out wisdom teeth when I'm listening to that and I'm vibing and I'm in my glory. You know what I mean? Those teeth come out faster. I'm living my best life. And I know you're living your best life too, Derek. So I applaud you, my man.
Yeah.
I think it's great. But I got one question for you, bud. You have in like both of you guys, you have amazing senses of style and design. What's going to happen next year when you have a different idea and you're like, oh, I like this color scheme, I like this type of material, and I know just from talking to you, you're not going to just be happy with just this one thing you've created. You're going to want to change something. Like, have you thought about that, or how you're going to incorporate that, or new designs coming in? Like, how are you going to incorporate new versions of you into your practice?
I think I think what I want to um, do as I'm just trying to think here. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about how the office will change. I built this office in a timeless way with things that I think are going to stand the test of time and that I'm in love with. And I don't think that it's something that I'm going to next year feel differently about.
Yeah.
when I walk into the office, I love it, and for it to be a timeless design was very important when we were kind of planning things. So I don't think that's the case. I think that I'm gonna keep loving it for years to come. So it's not like it wasn't built on trend. That's the thing.
Yeah.
People come in and they're like, "Oh, it's very trendy." I'm like, "No, it's very timeless." What so I don't think I'm not gonna love it. I don't think I'm gonna feel differently about it next year. Um, yeah, it was built. I built the office in a way that I could be in love with it, and I don't think it's gonna change.
For someone that knows Derek quite well, so I agree. I don't think this is going to change, but the way his brain and passion works is I feel like there'll always be other things in life that he'll want to create and just like be very excited about. And whether it's just like the services he offers, because he's always researching and learning more and things like that. So I think that's where changes will be made, where he's just constantly wanting the best.
Yeah, I think honing and refining the experience is kind of like uh, a nice passion. So any ways that we can improve the customer experience, I think that's kind of where things might be changing more, just refining things and fine tuning as we get better. I think that that's kind of what my focus is going to be on.
You're a special dude, and I hope I'm not offending you. I just feel like you have, you know, that it factor, and you care so much about your practice. I feel like, and correct me if I'm
Thank
wrong,
you.
if you did
Yeah.
open up a second location, I don't
Mhm.
feel like you're the right person to do it, because you need to be in your element, and you can't recreate that with another dentist. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't be at two places at once, and this is a reflection of you. How do you put me or Akil in a second location? It wouldn't be us.
Are you
Do
saying
you
I'm
know what
not
I mean?
sexy? That's
No, not even close, man. Look at that hair. You're
You
not
know
sexy.
what? But here's the thing. I'm very open to kind of spreading the word and having other paste locations so that we can be more available for people kind of all over the GTA. That's something that is something that I want. And I was at, you'd be surprised because you actually find your tribe. I've had uh, undergrad students that are trying to get into dental school. I've had first and second year dental students literally physically come, they call me, they email me, and they say, "This is something that I want to do as well."
Yeah.
I also have a passion for fashion or design, and I'm also trying to become a dentist. I'm so happy that I came across your office because this is a dream of mine as well. So you'd be surprised. You find your tribe and
Ah,
you find people that see the world the same way that you do.
maybe
Um,
you're the
and
avenue for their growth.
and you know what? That's been one of the rewarding things for me is that
Yeah.
I've been able to kind of be that person like 10 years out, or not 10 years out, 7 years out, and kind of like what that person could look like. Someone who does love design, has a creative mind, but is also a dentist. What that
Yeah.
looks like 7 years out. So I've been that person for younger people because I didn't have that growing up. I grew up in like a small city, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I was like the the kid that loved interiors, and I'd be flipping through magazines at chapters about fashion. But and then I was also trying to get into dental school, and it always felt like it was one or the other. You can't have both.
Yeah.
But I created a space where I can have both. That I can have art in my office that I'm proud to have, or I can have flowers that I'm really drawn to. Have a place to highlight and showcase creative people that I'm drawn to in my own space. So that's been really rewarding, and it's been like an outlet for me. So you can have both. If you're in your early 20s trying to become a dentist and you like design too, you can have both.
You can do it. And
Yeah.
honestly, I can see and feel your pride across the screen. And I'm grateful just for the opportunity to have met you, Derek and Dustin. And thank you so much for coming on our podcast. And I really hope our listeners can learn from you, because you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter how much anything costs. At the end of the day, it's irrelevant, because it gives you the sense of pride, and I feel your
Mhm.
pride, man. So thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Welcome to the Hi, Neki. Is that a
What's up, man?
sweater?
Yeah, dude. Dude, it's the Hi, I'm Doctor sweater. Oh, dude, I see you got yours on too. Looking sharp, bro.
Dude, where'd you get yours from?
It was super easy, man. I just went on to our website, www.hiimdoctor.com. That's HIIMDR.com.
We have a website. We must be raking in cash from selling these sweaters.
Dude, we are killing it. I mean, if that includes losing money on every single sweater that we make, I think we're doing really well.
Yeah, Neki and I are donating all proceeds, which is zero, to charity because we are losing money.
I wonder if the charity will pay us. I think we got something here, man. Let's keep on keep on losing money on every sweater.
Alrighty, guys, go check us out. hiimdoctor.com.
Let's see it.
Neki. So we are not copy. We are
Paste.
There we go. So we had Paste on the podcast, the brilliant minds behind Paste.
Dude, that was a pretty good intro there, man. Way to go.
Trying to spice it up a little bit. I like Neki and I have been recording 2 podcasts for about 2.5 hours. I was just telling him, I'm like, man, I don't know how your cheeks don't like fall off. Like I'm trying to make a more deliberate effort to be less stoic, and I'm trying to be more like Neki and be a little bit happier. And my cheeks, I kid you not, are quivering.
Bruce Freeman calls him out, and all of a sudden, this guy is smiling ear to ear nonstop over here, man.
Oh, I don't know how you do it. Like I swear, like my cheek, I've never had quivering cheeks in my life, and they're quivering. Like it's sore. I'm gonna have to go get a massage tomorrow. My TMJ. But I mean, that should say something about the guests we had on. So I mean, Paste, Derek and Dustin, such cool guys, eh?
Totally. And I think it's so cool in dentistry that we don't have to conform to the typical look of a dental op. Like, you know, it used to be like even 10 years ago, the flex of dentistry was having a certain brand of equipment. Like if you had ADEC equipment and ADEC cabinets, you know, you spent like, you know, a lot on your practice, and, you know, you must show that you care, and, you know, they've developed a name for themselves, like the company. But then now it's like, well, it's not about the type of chairs you have. It's about the decor you have, the ambiance, the experience, the hospitality of it all, bringing it from, you know, Fairmont to dentistry. So I think it's amazing, man.
Yeah. I sort of think I outed myself a little bit during that pod where I said I love like interior design and I'm not a hockey boy, but that is me. That is I love interior design. Like my favorite YouTube channel is Architecture Digest.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, it's like the modern MTV Cribs. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I remember when I went to Paste and, you know, I like walked around the office, I noticed that they have the same soap. I think it's like Aesop.
Yeah.
Aesop. And it's like this like really nice bottle of soap that all the celebrities have, and they have them in every single room of the practice.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's nuts. I just don't understand all you design people. How do you know what shit is available to like make? Like, how do you know like, oh, this type of tile exists, so now I can use it? Like, I don't understand that part. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you just looking at magazines all day and then you come up with an idea, or how do you develop a design mentality, right?
Well, I'm not anywhere near on the level of like my condo, or I should say our condo looks like a garage. Like it's like decorated like a garage. Like that's like stuff all over the place, and like it's very rustic looking. So like my aesthetic is not like, you know, Paste aesthetic. But for Paste, like, you know, they have stuff from like, where do they say Europe? Like the tiles. What part of
Albania?
Europe? Albania, like a famous square in Albania.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. But like it goes to prove that if you don't have someone explaining you that story, you don't have an appreciation for that. And I think that's where it's really cool. Dustin is there, you know, giving not patients, but guests a tour of the office all the time. And I think that's so wicked. And I think Paste is going to do really, really well.
Oh, 100%. Like we were just off the pod talking about how many people came up to me, and I posted them on my story because I actually went to go see them. And like so many people were like, get these guys on the podcast because they're making such an impact on dentistry, especially the young dentists, where I come from a background of working on Bay Street where, people are complaining about, oh, this like $5,000 espresso machine is not as good as what like the firm down the road has. And then you go into dentistry and it's like Keurig, baby, right?
Yeah.
So so it's cool like seeing that world of valuing, people's mindset at work. And you do such a good job at it too, because like, anyone who knows Neki, all your stories are of your office and your rap lyrics on the wall and your like pictures of like the Jordan sneakers and all this cool stuff you have going on. So you're
Do you think
you're part of it too.
do you think he cringed when I told him that though?
No,
He's
everyone
like,
has a different
rap
aesthetic.
quote. What's rap quote? I felt about this big. Like,
I think
damn,
everyone is
not as cool as the Pace fellas.
No, everyone has a different aesthetic. I think it's like you said, right? It's like it's about you. It's
Yeah.
really about how are you. I mean, down the road, it's about the patient, but I mean, more immediately, it's if you're not feeling good in your own space, if you're not feeling inspired and energized to be there, you're not going to create a very good patient experience either.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
I mean,
But that's exactly what they're creating. If you have a director of floral arrangements, director of flower, what'd you call it?
floral director.
Yeah, a floral director. I think you're developing quite the experience there. And I think maybe that's exactly what dentistry needs. And I have to give 100% kudos to Dustin and Derek for actually creating their vision and bringing it to dentistry. And maybe this is the new trend we're going to see over the next 10 years as your generation graduates and wants to recreate these amazing offices. And I think that would be awesome.
Definitely. They're making dentistry a better place to be. So
Absolutely.
kudos to you guys. Anything else, Neki?
No, man. I can't wait to meet him in person. When I come down for ASM, I'll be there.
Yeah, we're all gonna go grab drinks. So at the paste office.
At the Pace office.
Good stuff.
We'll see you guys soon. Have a good week.